All right, I am live. Thank you for having me in this event. I love the energy that's being brought forward and everything that's being created here, co-created in this space. And when I was presented with the idea and thought of how do I create change, and what would it look like if I talked about change, and what came to mind was how challenge creates change. And we've all heard about this in many ways. I imagine we've all faced this. Adversity, diversity, whatever it is, we've all faced challenges in our life where on the other side, something changed. Hopefully for the best. But as the world is occurring in the way that it is, as things are happening outside of us, there is a global challenge. The question is, what changes on the other side of that? So, I want us to kind of lean into this, and how I'm going to share this story is on a personal scale. Because when we think about change, it can be on a global scale, and it can be this amazing thing when we unite and we come together, but my story is just going to be a personal experience with change, and how challenge was the thing that created that. And because I have to keep this in 15 minutes or less, I will go through it pretty quickly. Another thing to note before I dive into this is challenge creates change, but change is also usually the thing we fear the most. What do I mean by that? I mean, whenever we want to create change, we want to see change, and on the other side, we know there's going to be change, and this thing we want to create in our lives, there is more likely than not our biggest fear right there with it. So, the challenge I'm going to share with you, for me, was communication. And the fear, for me, was public speaking. So this one's not just my fear. On a human level, I know everybody experiences the fear of public speaking. This challenge, though, this challenge of communication, started at a very young age. It started when I was in pre-K, and then in through kindergarten, all the way up through high school. I had a speech impediment, and I actually have never shared this on social media before, so this is something new. I had a speaking disability, is what I was told. I took extra classes, I had tutors, and just enough where I noticed I was getting extra attention for how I spoke that my classmates were not getting. So through the journey of education, through school, I noticed I was taking an extra class whenever everyone else was, doing their English work, or everyone else had a test. They would take me to a separate class to do it because I needed special attention just to get to an average speaking level. So with that occurring through my education, the story of I'm not smart enough settled in pretty deeply. And a lot of us have the story of I'm not good enough. To some extent, we live with that. But this one I could identify as I'm not smart enough. Fast forward a bit, I start traveling. So I get out of school, I start traveling, and as I'm doing this, I'm meeting amazing people. I'm meeting these master speakers. I'm meeting these really high-level people that I look at as mentors, and I want to learn from these people, and they seem so great. And I feel so small around them. I feel worthless in their presence of greatness because I don't think I can communicate with these people. There was one experience that really sticks with me, and one challenge that stays with me, that created a ripple effect of change. I was in the car with this person that was my friend at the time, ended up becoming one of my greatest mentors. And he was an amazing father, a great husband, and his work ethic was amazing. I mean, the things that he did, he was in military, and then he went completely to nonprofit, and just an all-around great human being. We were going fishing in the car. We were having conversation. It was mostly one-sided. He was speaking most of the time. And I caught myself doing the thing that I would usually do at that time, which is nodding and agreeing with whatever he would say. I was just a yes man. Just whatever he would say, I'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah. And he'd, sharing conversation. He would ask me questions. I'd be very brief because I didn't feel like I had things to add to the conversation. He stopped me. And he said, Ryan, why are you not really communicating with me? I was like, what do you mean? No, we're having a conversation. Like I was in a space of, whoa, what are you talking about? We're having a conversation. This is good. We are doing it. He said, no, you're not actually conversing with me. You're not actually connecting with me. You don't feel like you have enough to add to the conversation. Am I right? He called me out, and I was so scared. I just turned red. I was terrified. I was like, how do you see me? Nobody's ever named this. Like, nobody's ever saw this and said it out loud to me. I was like, yeah, I guess I do. He challenged me that day. So again, the title of this, Challenge Creates Change. He challenged me that day. He said, Ryan, who are the 10 people you look up to the most? Who are the 10 people that you can contact right now that you think you don't have anything to add, any value to add to the conversation with them? And I easily thought, I was like, oh, boom, 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 boom. He said, reach out to them. In the next 24 hours, do it. I was like, how? What do I do? He said, ask questions. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Ask questions. People want to talk about themselves. That makes sense. I was terrified, but I was up for the challenge because this was a mentor. This is somebody I really looked up to. And this is somebody that I cared about and I wanted to be like in certain ways. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And with that ripple effect, I started getting better at asking questions. I started seeing the change occurring for how I could communicate, how I could connect. Isn't that what we all want? So fast forward a bit to the fear. Like I said, the fear was public speaking. The challenge was communication. I get to Bali. I meet this guy. He's doing a workshop at Ubud. Shout out Ubud. They used to be RIP, I guess. But if anybody is from Bali, the co-working spaces there, there's always events and there's always workshops. There's somebody running a workshop there. His name was Dai. And he was captivating. He was connecting with everybody in the room. His energy was illuminating, and it was beautiful. It was one of the most powerful speaking and engagement I've ever seen. So after, like so nervous in my body, I went up and talked to him. I was like, I want to do things like you. And through that, he was like, great, okay, come to Toastmasters. I was like, okay, I'll do it. Whatever, yeah, sure, whatever that is. The night before, if any of you know what Toastmasters is, you know. If you don't, I'll let you know. The night before I looked it up, I was like, oh, Toastmasters International, great. Biggest public speaking forum in all of the world and communication platform for leadership globally. Oh, this is what he wants me to come to. Terrified, but I got the challenge by somebody I looked up to. Again, I went. So scared, just scared. The whole thing goes by. My heart's beating the whole time. The meeting goes to an end. At the end, he shares, does anybody want to come on stage and share what they thought? Anything, just for 30 seconds, just stand up. Let us know what you thought about the meeting. I knew he was going to call on me. He looked and he's like, Ryan, come on up. I couldn't say anything. I was lost for words, just red. I thought I was going to puke. I get off the stage without saying anything. People are just clapping because that's how Toastmasters is. It's very supportive. That day, I took his challenge of being there, and I said, I'm going to go every single week because it's the thing I fear the most. And personally, I'm really into personal development, so I saw that as an opportunity. But because he challenged me, because I took it on as an opportunity to change, and I saw the impact it had, and I knew there was a pain there deeply tied into that belief of I'm not smart enough. That was what I had to lean into. And I did it every single week. I was scared every single time. Every single time I went on stage, I was terrified. There was not a time where I went up and I was like, oh, I got it. I got the confidence now. I can do it. I was scared every time. but I started changing the relationship with it over time. So again, the challenge created the change. Now, I'm president of 2 Toastmasters clubs, which is the thing I was most afraid of a few years ago. Now, some of the biggest things that I do and the largest focus I have is on public speaking and communication. I'm literally running an event in a few days that's on people finding their authentic voice, being able to share, being able to connect, being able to share a message, their story, and bring it forward. Literally the thing I feared the most and the challenge that was most confronting for me created the most change and most opportunity for me. And you may ask, on a global scale, what does this look like? Communication, connection, collaboration, inspiration, more things that rhyme. These things are very valuable. These are some of the most valuable things we can connect to on a human level. So I don't know what your challenge is, but when you lean into it, I'm going to give you just 3 steps. If you want to take it on, to find this out and to just check in with it. Step 1, where in your life do you want to create change? And like I said, it's probably a place that you fear. It's probably the place you fear the most. Step 2, name the challenge that bridges that gap. So you know where you are. The change is where you want to be. The challenge bridges the gap. Step 3, accountability. Tell somebody. Let somebody know, whether it's a friend, family member, mentor, community, name it and share it with somebody. Because that way, you will be accountable and you will show up for that. So 3 easy steps to just actually be able to lean into this today, because it's one of the most valuable things for myself. And there's always a challenge, and there's always more change that we want to create or want to see in the world. So, the only thing that is between us and that change is ourselves. So the only question is, are you ready? Thank you.